My parents secretly funded my husband's ex while I battled illness, then smeared me as unstable, broke into my life, and forced me to cut them off forever. I am 34 and have been married to my husband, James, for 4 years now. We dated for 2 years before getting married, and I thought I knew everything there was to know about his past. This included his previous marriage to Sarah, which ended a few years before we met. I knew it had not ended well, and James was very honest about the details. Sarah had cheated on him multiple times, and the last affair was with the man she is now married to. They did not have kids, so the divorce was simple enough, and James even gave her a bit more than what was required by law just to have a clean break. I thought that would be the end of it, but recently, I found out that the past has a way of creeping back, sometimes in the most unexpected ways. My parents adored James from the beginning. They go on and on about how hardworking he was, how well he treated me, and what a responsible man he seemed to be. My parents even helped with our wedding expenses and gave us a generous amount for the down payment on our first home together. That is why the truth about what they have been doing hit me so hard, it felt like a betrayal on so many levels. Last year, I was diagnosed with a chronic illness. It was a big shock, and dealing with it has not been easy. I needed several surgeries, and even with insurance, the medical bills were massive. I had to take unpaid leave from my job as a teacher to recover, which meant our finances took a serious hit. James works as a construction project manager, which pays decently, but his salary alone was not enough to cover everything: our mortgage, daily expenses, and my medical bills. Desperate, I turned to my parents for help. They are quite well off, they own a few successful businesses, so I thought they would be able to lend me some support, just temporarily. When I asked them, though, they said they were having financial difficulties and could only give me $500. I was a bit taken aback. I knew their businesses were doing fine and that they were not struggling, but I did not want to pry. I figured maybe they had some reason they did not want to discuss. I thanked them and did not push further, but to cover the rest, I had to start working a second job as an online tutor as soon as I was well enough. It was exhausting, teaching all day and then tutoring late into the night. My recovery suffered, but we did not have any other options. James even offered to pick up more projects, but his work was so physically demanding, and I did not want him to exhaust himself. The truth came out entirely by accident. Last week, my younger sister called me, and we were just chatting when she mentioned our parents had been helping Sarah with her new business venture. At first, I thought I misheard her, but when I asked her to explain, she casually told me they had been financially supporting Sarah, helping her open a yoga studio. My sister assumed I knew, and when I did not, she sounded horrified and apologized immediately. She even sent me screenshots of social media posts showing my parents at Sarah's grand opening, tagged as angel investors. It was a complete shock. My parents refused to help their own daughter with medical bills, but were supporting James's ex-wife, a woman who had hurt him deeply. Over the next few days, I was a mess. I tried to piece together everything in my head to understand why my parents would do this. I spent sleepless nights questioning if I had missed some obvious signs or if they had tried to hint at it and I had overlooked it. When I told James, he was just as stunned and angry as I was. He has had zero contact with Sarah since their divorce, and he could not believe my parents would go behind our backs like this. Finally, I decided to confront them. We have a regular Sunday family dinner, which James and I host monthly. I figured I would bring it up in person, hoping to get the truth out of them. Maybe they would realize how deeply this hurt me if they saw the pain on my face. When everyone was seated, my parents, my sister, and her husband, I decided to bring it up calmly. I asked them to explain why they were financially supporting Sarah's yoga studio and why they kept it a secret from me. My mom did not hesitate to respond, and her words were more painful than I could have imagined. She proudly said that Sarah had always been like a daughter to them, even after the divorce. She went on about how they had formed a strong bond with her when she was married to James, and that they wanted to support her as she pursued her dream of opening a yoga studio. It was real hearing this. Here was my own mother talking about Sarah as though she was some cherished family member, while completely ignoring how much this hurt me. Then my dad stepped in, trying to explain. He claimed that Sarah had shown entrepreneurial spirit and had a solid business plan. According to him, they felt it was a good investment, and he even suggested that helping with my medical bills would have been money down the drain. He actually suggested that I should have planned better for emergencies and that I should focus on natural healing and consider taking yoga classes at Sarah's studio instead of spending on conventional medicine. I felt numb hearing this. It was like he was blaming me for my illness and saying that supporting a business was more valuable than supporting my health. I could not hold back anymore. All the pain and frustration I had bottled up came pouring out. I told them about how hard things had been, how I had been struggling to recover while working 2 jobs and skipping treatments because we could not afford them. I told them how betrayed I felt that they chose to support a woman who had cheated on their son-in-law while leaving me to struggle. My mother rolled her eyes and said I was being melodramatic, that Sarah had made mistakes but had grown into a resilient businesswoman. She even implied that my anger was rooted in insecurity about James's past marriage. My dad agreed, saying their support of Sarah was separate from family matters and that I was acting childish. At that point, I had had enough. I told them they were not welcome in my home anymore. They were shocked, but they left in a huff, with my dad muttering something about me being ungrateful. My sister, who had been silent the entire time, stayed behind. She apologized again, crying, saying she had no idea how much it would hurt me. Her husband looked uncomfortable and said it was probably best if they left too. After everyone was gone, James and I sat down, exhausted. He kept saying he felt guilty, as if somehow this was his fault, but I reassured him this was entirely on my parents. They were the ones who betrayed me, not him. We both agreed we would need to set some boundaries with them, maybe even cut contact for a while. I knew I could not trust them anymore, but today I have been feeling uncertain. My phone has been flooded with messages from family, with some saying I overreacted and others supporting me. My parents sent me a long email saying they are disappointed in my immature behavior and will not consider reconciliation until I apologize. Their words made me pause for the first time since the confrontation. Maybe I was too harsh. Could they really have thought that they were just helping Sarah out of kindness? I feel conflicted, wondering if I overreacted, if I should have tried harder to see things from their side. I cannot shake the feeling of betrayal, but part of me wonders if I was wrong to be so angry. Should I have kept calm and tried to reason with them more? Was I too emotional in that moment? They were cryptic, and I cannot shake the feeling that there is something they are not telling me. But is it my fault that they did not explain everything? What do you think? Am I being unreasonable, or was I justified in feeling hurt by my parents' actions? First, thank you to everyone who reached out with support and advice. Reading through the comments made me feel less alone in this, and it has given me a lot to think about as we decide what to do next. Since posting, these last 2 days have brought out more revelations than I ever expected. Shortly after my last post, I got an unexpected message from Sarah on Facebook. She had apparently been contacted by my parents, who told her about our confrontation. The message she sent was, well, it was dripping with concern that felt more like thinly veiled mockery. She wrote that she wanted to clear the air between us, claiming she had no idea about my medical struggles and saying she was sorry I had gone through that. But then she threw in a backhanded suggestion that I should take a month for free yoga classes at her studio for stress relief, as if her classes were some magical cure-all. Knowing that my sister confirmed our parents talked about my health with Sarah regularly at the studio, I knew it was all fake sympathy. I blocked her without responding. The biggest shock, though, came from my aunt, my mom's sister. She called me out of the blue yesterday, sounding hesitant but also worried. She said she had been following what happened through the family grapevine and had something she needed to share. Apparently, my parents' relationship with Sarah has been going on even deeper than I ever imagined. They have been celebrating holidays with Sarah and her new husband, inviting them to family events, and even went on vacation together last summer. This was a trip they told me they could not take with us because they were swamped with business. My aunt told me she had always found the situation uncomfortable, feeling like Sarah had become their replacement daughter while I was kept at arm's length. She apologized for not telling me sooner and admitted she was afraid to cause drama within the family, especially since my parents have been treating her coldly whenever she questions them. She even shared some photos from a few gatherings, including my cousin's wedding last year, which they told me was immediate family only. Yet, there was Sarah, grinning with my parents in the background like she was truly part of the family. In some of those photos, my parents and Sarah even look closer to each other than I have ever felt with them. It is like they truly adopted her in some twisted sense. Seeing those pictures was just so painful. It was not just that they were supporting her financially, they were emotionally invested in her life, giving her the love and support they refused to give me. I have also had a long heart-to-heart with my sister. She feels terribly guilty for keeping their secret and has decided to distance herself from our parents as well. In our conversation, she shared even more shocking details. It turns out our parents had been pressuring her to take classes at Sarah's studio, talking up the benefits of yoga and the importance of supporting family. They even suggested she could invest a portion of her inheritance from our grandparents to help Sarah expand her business, money that was meant for my sister's future, not for supporting the woman who had so thoroughly disrupted my life. My sister has done some serious self-reflection and is now just as outraged by our parents' behavior. She confessed that she always felt a strange competition growing up, but this crossed the line she never expected. She has vowed to distance herself and rethink her relationship with them. Having her by my side means so much right now. She is one of the few people who truly understands what this betrayal feels like. James, bless him, has been incredibly supportive, but I can see he is also grappling with his own complex emotions, mainly a mix of anger and guilt. He has told me several times that he wishes he had been more upfront about Sarah's manipulation back when they divorced. He never wanted to stir the pot, especially since he knew how close my parents and I were, but now he has realized that downplaying Sarah's influence on their lives only enabled my parents to draw even closer to her. He is furious that, through no fault of his own, his past marriage is still haunting us and affecting our present. At one point, he suggested maybe we should consider moving further away, a fresh start away from all the painful memories tied to our hometown. The idea of moving is not new to us, but I can see it weighs on him. He is feeling like he has forced me into a situation that could have been avoided. I keep reminding him that none of this is his fault and that my parents' choices were out of his hands, but it is hard to see him struggling with this guilt. And to top it off, my parents sent a long, scolding email this morning. It was mostly them expressing disappointment in my immaturity and detailing how they believed Sarah was more family-oriented than I was because she had always made an effort to stay connected. They even accused me of being jealous of Sarah's business success and implied that my illness was my way of seeking attention. It was like reading a letter from strangers. They took zero accountability, not a single word of apology, and twisted everything to make it seem like I was being unreasonable. They went on about how I should appreciate all the support they gave us during the wedding and the early years of our marriage, then had the nerve to demand an apology before they would even consider speaking with us again. At this point, I am not even sure an apology would change anything, and honestly, I do not know if I want any reconciliation. I forwarded the email to my sister, who, after reading it, told me I made the right decision in cutting them out for now. This entire situation feels surreal. It is like I have lost my parents, even though they are still physically here. I have always felt a need to please them, to be the good daughter, but now I realize they have never seen me as enough. They put Sarah on a pedestal, held her up as the golden child, and cast me aside when I needed the most. For the first time in my life, I feel free from that burden, but it is a freedom that comes at a heavy price. So here we are, trying to rebuild our lives without the support and presence of the people who are supposed to be my family. I do not know what the future holds, but I am ready to focus on my health, my marriage, and the people who actually care about me. It is heartbreaking to say goodbye to the illusion of the family I thought I had, but maybe this will allow me to create a stronger, healthier family for myself and for James. This situation has spiraled into something I never could have anticipated. My parents' response to me cutting them off has been to double down in ways that are truly disturbing. This whole thing has turned into one big nightmare. 2 days ago, they crossed a line I never imagined. They showed up at my workplace unannounced during lunch break and with Sarah by their side. Apparently, they figured a public confrontation would force me to hear them out or embarrass me into letting everything slide. I got called down to the office, and there they were, along with Sarah, claiming they just needed to talk. I was in disbelief at their audacity, but thankfully the school security protocols worked exactly as intended. They were stopped at the front office and were not allowed to proceed without my approval. I refused, of course, and my principal and colleagues were incredibly supportive. They documented the incident, and my principal updated my file to ensure my parents and Sarah would be prohibited from campus access going forward. But that was not the end of it. That evening, we discovered they had somehow given Sarah our new home security code. We had originally shared it with my parents for emergencies, but it never occurred to me that they had handed it over to her. I found out when our Ring camera alerted me to someone at the front door. Watching the footage, I saw Sarah trying to let herself in, insisting she was there to leave a peace offering for me. It was chilling to realize she had the access code to our house. James and I immediately changed all the codes and locks. We also filed a police report to document the attempted entry, even though we decided not to press charges for now. That level of intrusion shook us both. If we had not seen the footage in real time, who knows what she might have done inside our home? These events opened a floodgate for more news. My sister took it upon herself to dig deeper, trying to understand how far this connection with Sarah really went, and what she found out got us both stunned. For the past year, it turns out my parents have been quietly paying Sarah's mortgage. Suddenly, some of their recent financial decisions made sense, like cutting down on what they promised for our wedding and reallocating family funds that were supposedly for emergencies only. It all clicked into place when my sister revealed this. They had been sacrificing my well-being to keep Sarah afloat financially. The more disturbing discovery came from a mutual friend of ours, who is still somewhat in contact with my parents. Apparently, they have been telling people in their social circle that I am mentally unstable. According to them, Sarah stepped up to help the family because I was not able to. This narrative explains a lot: their over-the-top generosity towards Sarah and their cold, almost clinical dismissal of my health struggles. They spun a story that painted me as incapable and unwell, and themselves as doting parents doing their best to handle me. Hearing this from a friend who had always respected my parents was heartbreaking. It was as if they were rewriting my entire life to justify their actions. The silver lining in this mess has been the outpouring of support from friends, family, and colleagues. My coworkers at the school started a meal train to help out while we dealt with all the extra stress, and James's team at work has offered to cover some of his shifts so he can focus on keeping our household safe. They are even helping us brainstorm options for further securing our home. Meanwhile, my sister and her husband have completely cut contact with our parents, which was not an easy decision for them. They are helping us document everything, from the attempted entry to the financial inconsistencies and the lies being spread about my mental health. If we need to take legal action, we want all of this well documented. One moment that sticks with me from the last 2 days happened when I got a text from one of my closest friends from high school who had recently reconnected with my parents. She had heard from them about my episodes and said she was genuinely concerned for me. They told her I had been erratic and prone to breakdowns, and they suggested she reach out to offer support. I had to explain to her the actual situation, sharing parts of my experience and what I had been going through. Thankfully, she believed me, but the damage had already been done. I realized that my parents were spreading this mentally unstable narrative even outside their close social circle, essentially isolating me from people I had known for years. At this point, I am left wondering how far they are willing to go. I spoke with a lawyer this morning to get advice on issuing a formal restraining order, and while I am reluctant to escalate things legally, the thought of my parents potentially showing up anywhere or using people close to us to get to me has made me seriously consider it. I never thought that it would come to this, but with each new incident, it becomes clearer that my safety and peace of mind might depend on creating firm legal boundaries. For now, we are trying to take things one day at a time, keeping close friends updated and leaning on each other. James has been an incredible support through all this, but I can tell it is wearing on him too. We have started looking into counseling, and he has urged me to join a support group for people going through similar family estrangement. I think it might help me process all the anger and betrayal and to stop second-guessing myself. This entire situation has pushed me to my breaking point, but seeing so many people rally around us, I am starting to believe we will make it through this stronger. As for my parents, I do not know what more they could do at this point that would surprise me, but after these last few days, nothing feels impossible. All I can do is stand my ground, keep moving forward, and try to build a life that does not include the chaos they have created. Thank you to everyone who has been here through this entire ordeal. So much has happened over the last few days, and I will try to capture everything. It has been a whirlwind. I apologize in advance if this update feels like a flood of information, but there is no easy way to tell this story. Another shocking discovery came from my sister. She managed to get access to some financial records, and it turns out that our parents have invested almost $500,000 in Sarah's business ventures over the past 3 years. We had no idea of the extent of their involvement. This is not just about the yoga studio either. They funneled money into a failed wellness product line and even funded a life coaching certification program that Sarah apparently tried to get off the ground. The thought of them pouring that amount of money into Sarah's dreams while refusing to pay for my medical expenses is a hard pill to swallow, but frankly, at this point, it is not that surprising either. Meanwhile, I made the decision to resign from my online tutoring job. It was a tough call, but my doctor confirmed that the additional work was putting a strain on my recovery. James and I sat down, combed through our budget, and realized we could make it work on just my teaching salary and his income. The sacrifices we will need to make feel worth it just for the chance to focus on my health. On top of that, James just received a promotion that came with better health insurance, so that will help us cover my ongoing medical expenses without us having to worry too much. And thanks to the money we have managed to save, we feel financially secure enough to take this step. With all of this happening, we also decided to move next month. We will be moving to a new house in a different neighborhood, and while the commute will be a bit longer for both of us, we need this fresh start. There is too much of the old life tied up in our current home, too many memories of my parents coming over and trying to be a part of our lives on their terms. A new place will hopefully bring the peace and separation we have been needing. The hardest part of all this has been accepting that my parents' behavior is not really about Sarah at all. She is just a symptom of deeper issues. This has forced me to confront the fact that my parents' love might have always come with conditions. They have prioritized their own image over their children's needs, and their inability to accept me for who I am has caused damage that I am not sure will ever fully heal. Last night, something happened that drove this point home. James and I were out running errands when I got a frantic call from our neighbor. She noticed a car parked outside our house that she did not recognize, and it turns out it was my parents. They were sitting in their car, waiting and occasionally walking up to our front door. I had no idea they would escalate to essentially stalking us at home. We called the police, who came and asked them to leave. They did not press charges since no trespassing actually occurred, but the officers did document the incident. It was chilling, though, to see how far my parents were willing to go just to force some kind of confrontation. As soon as we got home, we checked all our locks, cameras, and security systems. James even spent the evening adding extra security measures and updating our Ring camera settings. We have now notified all our neighbors, so they will be on alert if they see my parents or Sarah around. We are trying to be proactive, but I cannot shake the feeling that they might try something else. Today, my sister and I had a final, painful conversation about our parents. She has officially cut contact with them. She told me about some things they said when she confronted them about paying Sarah's mortgage and funding her business ventures. They claimed they owed it to Sarah because she had helped the family in ways I could not. Apparently, they still see me as some kind of liability, a broken daughter who cannot handle stress. The words cut deep, and I could not believe the lack of empathy they showed. Hearing them belittle my health issues and dismiss my struggles as weaknesses made me realize they did not even want to understand me. They just want to control the narrative. And as if that was not enough, a mutual acquaintance reached out today with something else that floored me. She told me my parents had been spreading rumors that James was taking advantage of me and that I was too blind to see it. According to them, he has supposedly been siphoning off my income for his own gain, which could not be further from the truth. James has been my rock, emotionally and financially, and I cannot believe they would try to turn people against him to further isolate me. I was heartbroken to hear about these lies, especially since James had done everything in his power to protect me from this nightmare. I have been leaning on my chosen family more than ever. Our close friends, neighbors, and even some colleagues have been incredible through all of this. A few of them offered to help with the move next month, and others have kept in touch to make sure I am okay. They have reminded me of what true family looks like, the kind that supports you, loves you, and does not require you to be anything other than yourself. My sister and her husband have been particularly amazing, helping us keep all this documented in case we need it for legal action. In these last few days, the gravity of the situation has truly sunk in. I realize that I have spent so many years trying to earn their approval, to live up to their impossible expectations, and to make myself worthy in their eyes. But now I see that no amount of effort would ever make me enough for them because they love their idea of me, not who I really am. As painful as that is to accept, it is also freeing. I am finally starting to let go of the need to seek validation from people who never saw me for who I truly am. James and I have decided to begin counseling together, partly to process everything that has happened, but also to strengthen our bond for the future. The trauma my parents have inflicted will not disappear overnight, but we are committed to healing together. I am also considering joining a support group for people going through family estrangement, as the pain and loneliness of this experience are hard to carry alone. To everyone who has followed this journey, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support has been a light in a very dark time. This chapter of our lives has been painful, but it has also shown us what true love and family mean. Moving forward, I am going to focus on healing, on creating a life filled with people who genuinely care, and on being the best version of myself without the weight of my parents' expectations. This will probably be the last update I share here, but I wanted to end on a note of gratitude. To anyone else struggling with toxic family dynamics, know that you deserve love and respect without conditions. I am learning that painfully, but I am learning it all the same.